This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. We are here recording, previewing Monday's 12-game main slate, kicking off the week. It is a weird week in the NBA here, James. We got a 12-game Monday slate. We have 0 games on Tuesday. Don't really understand why that is. We have, I think, an 11-game slate on Wednesday, and then we have 2 games on Thursday, and the slates kind of mellow themselves out a little bit here over the weekend. Don't know why we have no games on Tuesday. I don't know if you know why the reasoning for that happens to be, but either way, a little break in between early season start here. 12 games kicking off the week. How are you feeling about things, sir?
Yeah, interesting slate. Already have some news heading into the slate. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's out. De'Aaron Fox is out. Jamal Murray, CJ McCollum. Hopefully McCollum, the most serious of all. Hopefully McCollum can recover. Not the first time he's had a collapsed lung happen to him throughout his career, but that is scary nonetheless. So hopefully we will hear back from McCollum and hear that everything's good. But he'll be out obviously for TBD, I guess.
Did you see him tweet at like a report? Some basketball site tweeted out the injury update. It was like CJ McCollum's going to miss time with like the collapsed lung. And there was a picture of him like kind of like banging his chest a little bit. And then McCollum quote tweeted be like, "Wild pick to use" on like the news update. It looked like he was like clutching his chest.
That is, that's definitely a decision. I did not see that. That's not a good one. I did not see that, but
yeah, go find his X account. He quote tweeted it'd be like wild pick to use on the injury update announcement there. But yeah, again, so he's going to be out as we mentioned. You talked Fox, Murray is out, SGA is out here, so a lot of news. I'm on the playbook for Monday, so we'll have all that updated for everybody, obviously throughout the day as that is needed. And then of course we come back here live at 5:00 Eastern time to get everyone ready to go for this slate, which starts at 7 and the late night hammer is at 9. So you won't have to stay up too late to get the finals. You'll kind of get a good sense of where you're at, because like you mentioned, usually there's like one game that starts at 7, then everything sort of like picks up. We have 4 7:00 games. We got a boatload of games from 7 to 7:30. And then we have 4 8:00 games and a 9:00 game here. So spacing of scheduling is going to be fine. We'll get a lot of news for those 7:00 games, which is nice. Sometimes we're like waiting because, like you said, there's just one 7:00 game.
Right.
And we're waiting once roster lock comes for all the rest of the news. So hopefully we'll have it. Hopefully we'll be ready to go when it comes to this. So anything else for you, James, before we jump into it?
San Antonio, I'll just run into some totals, see if there's anything that really stands out. San Antonio, Indiana, 238. San Antonio on a back-to-back. I believe this is the first Wemby back-to-back of the year that we're going to get. So he's 8,500, 38 minutes. I know there was overtime in that game, but we've now seen back-to-back games in which Wemby has gone for season high in minutes. So the minute, limit seems to be, if there was one, seems to be gone. Dallas is on a back-to-back. That's an interesting 224.5 total. I think there's a third team, Golden State, on a back-to-back. Golden State made a note. Steve Kerr said the veterans are expected to play. That obviously remains to be seen. We'll see if that is the case, but 236.5 implied in Atlanta OKC. That's going to be a really fun game. No SGA, but dude, Atlanta's offense this year has been amazing. And they're scoring a bunch of points. So fun to see Atlanta OKC with that game total. And that's it. We have like 2 games over 230 in Brooklyn, Milwaukee, which I think there's probably some question marks in that game too. Some injury statuses there.
Yeah, agreed with you on that one. Let's jump into it. Before we do, want to give a shout out to our friends over at RT Sports. If you go to rtsports.com/alarm, use promo code alarm23. New users will get a 100% deposit match up to $200 with their first deposit. You can scan that QR code here on the screen, or again, go to rtsports.com/alarm. You can get my RT Sports pick 'em plays daily here at Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel and social media. Give those out here, getting you guys ready for some DFS pick 'em action over at RT Sports. Breaking down the DraftKings main slate here, James. Going along at the point guard position. We talked about it. You got Luka Doncic on the back-to-back here at 12K. Got Steph Curry on the back-to-back at 10-2, no SGA. Halliburton came back after missing a few games, $9,400. Back-to-back against Cleveland and Charlotte performed really well, broke the slate against Charlotte on 11-4. Now coming here again, 11-6 slate, $9,400. Not really moving the price tag for Halliburton here. Trae Young's at 93, Dame Lillard down to 92. Talk to me about this top tier point guard position. On a big slate like this, do you find yourself gravitating towards Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, or are we still pricing wise where fair and balanced lineups are getting it done for us here?
Well, the Jokic debate is different here without Jamal Murray, in my opinion. So Luka, you can obviously get to, even with Kyrie, he has a 70-point ceiling, maybe higher, but not something I don't think we need to get to. Curry on a back-to-back is fine, but why? I don't know. I feel better about going to a guy who just had a 27-point quarter, a 27 actual point quarter in Halliburton against Charlotte. Not to say he's going to do that every time out, but no back-to-back here, massive total, high-paced environment in this game. And his team, he's been really amazing with a floor ceiling combination. So Halliburton 94. I played Trae Young every slate for 4 straight slates. And I keep saying it because he's too cheap. And the field just keeps gravitating to DeJounte. And I get it because DeJounte is obviously cheaper.
You've been playing Trae Young. I've been playing DeJounte Murray for $1,500 cheaper.
Yeah, and it's not. I'm not saying that I'm winning out on these battles. I'm not. DeJounte has been.
It's been close to the last 2 slates.
Better per dollar, I know, but per dollar, it's been obviously shifted towards DeJounte. But Trae has done all this. He had 22 and 11, and he had 23 and 12 and 5, and he had 23 and 10, and he's averaging a steal per game, but he's not really shooting. 15 shot attempts for Trae Young. This is a guy who's been averaging 20 shots a game. The game before, just 7 of 18 shooting. The breakout is coming. He averaged more than 21 points per game last year. He's been close to 30 points per game. So
the 30-point game is on its way.
Yeah, saying. I mean, we're going to get the 40-point Trae Young Ice Trae game, and it's a 237 total, and I can already – I see the writing on the wall. DeJounte Murray is $7,800. Trae Young is $1,500. You just said it. You're playing DeJounte for $1,500 cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at it from a leverage standpoint. Tournaments, I had Trae Young go for 50 fantasy points at 5%. What if he makes 2 more threes, he's at 55, 56 fantasy points, and now you're talking about incredible leverage on a slate where everyone flocked to DeJounte, which would have been a good play, but Trae could have been a great play. So I'm going to keep playing Trae Young in tournaments. I feel the same thing about Lillard. You can always play Lillard in a tournament. He looked really good in that Knicks game, 30 actual. And now this high-pace environment against Brooklyn where, high total, high spread, or close spread. Brooklyn defensively, too, 24th in the league. So I think most of these guys, Halliburton, Young, Lillard, are all the premier targets.
For me, I think I'm with you more Young, Halliburton than spending up for Luka, or I don't even really care for Dame all that much. I get it. I know the ceiling is pretty similar there, but just not a spot I think I found myself getting to too often quite yet. We will have the debut of James Harden, but there is an expectation of him being limited, so I don't really think we. For now, I don't know if we play Clippers at all. Maybe we can take a wait and see approach and see how that whole rotation works itself out there. You have Brunson, who dropped 45 actual, against Milwaukee. But already there is some turmoil brewing in New York. Some comments of selfish basketball being played. There's some videos going around of poor court body language from Julius Randle while Brunson's out here taking all the shots.
No way, really?
Oh,
Julius
surprise,
Randle?
surprise. I don't know if you saw this tweet or X or post or however you want to go about it earlier today, but there was one that got put out there. Julius Randle is shooting the worst field goal percentage through 6 games of an NBA season since 1959 of any player.
Seems reasonably bad.
That is pretty poorly. Now, I'm sure there's like some qualifiers of like minutes or
shot
like
attempts, probably like shot attempts
or something, right? But yeah, not great. Probably for like a qualified player, right? They have like that qualifier. So of qualified players, his shooting percentage is the lowest it's been in the league for like 70 years. And he's shrugging his shoulders while Brunson's out there shooting 60% and scoring 45. So that's all the same for Julius Randle. We know that's just the case when it comes to him here. But Brunson's there. We got Maxey on the big slate. We know the minutes are going to be there regardless, and it's a great spot against Washington.
Yep.
So feel pretty confident about going back to the well here?
Yeah, and the comments after Nick Nurse after the game were encouraging. Apparently he went into halftime of that Phoenix game and was like, dude, I'm going to just say this, not like to disrespect you, but like shoot the ball. Like we need you to be aggressive. Like we need you to be a playmaker. And then he had a monster second half and he ends up double-doubling. Like that's going to be the player he's going to be. And I think we've said it a couple times. We're starting to get James Harden-like numbers for Tyrese Maxey.
Right.
Like this is what Harden was for Philly. What do we have to worry about here, John? We have to worry about a blowout. But what is Nick Nurse going to play? Philly team? Starters are going to play 35 minutes in a blowout?
Well, that's what I'm
40?
saying. I mean, they 126 to 98. They won. He played 35. 114 to 99. He played 40. 112 to 100. He played 36. This is a 7-point win. I mean, he's playing 35 anyways.
35 is the floor at this point, right?
Feels that way.
Yeah.
Maxey for me, for sure.
Agreed.
At $8,300 is too cheap. No SGA. Giddey went for 27. Disappointed a lot. Yep. Chet Holmgren was kind of the hero in that game against Golden State here. Any worries? And Lou Dort, of all people, went for like 30. Any worries about Giddey in this spot?
Yeah, I think you have to, especially in a game that featured 280 points. There was no foul trouble, and he played 31 minutes.
Sure.
I don't like that. And Casey Wallace played, and Isaiah Joe played in the mid-20s, and they really dispersed the minutes, and he's 8,200. And you look at let's give the first look here to the rest of the OKC lineup, like Lou Dort's 56, and Chet Holmgren 77, and Jalen Williams is 67. So you can get every single other OKC member for cheaper than Giddey. Chet played 32 minutes, had 45, but he's had a ceiling of 37 minutes, right? So Giddey's been capped at 30. Jalen Williams in foul trouble and fouled out, played 35 minutes, 38 the game before. So, like, for whatever reason, Josh Giddey is just kind of behind the 8 ball, despite being the most expensive. He is not playing more than minutes. He's not playing minutes.
Jason Wallace played 36.
Dude, they're just
Isaiah Joe played 26
off the bench, which it was off the bench. So like Josh Giddey's just not playing, right? No matter what. And
the other Jalen Williams played 15 in that game.
Which was told us by Mark Dagnall, like he said, Jay Will's going to be in the lineup. So all that to say, like, is there a ceiling? Sure. We know he's a very capable player, but also, John, like maybe the peripherals are going to be down when Chet Holmgren now exists in the world and he's on the glass, right? And Jalen Williams is able to be on the ball. So yeah, probably like it's a great game environment, probably my favorite on the board. I'm probably going to pass on Giddey for other OKC members. Maybe that's a leverage tournament. Maybe it's a tournament leverage play, but I just prefer other members of OKC.
If you had to pick one player, Maxey or Hero?
Don't make me choose, John. Don't make me choose.
I mean, Heroes.
It's probably Tyler Hero.
A day, right? Or season, right? Like
it's probably. Now here's the thing. Like, I think day to day, like game to game, I feel better about Maxey's, because there's obviously going to be those games where Maxey's always just dealing with Embiid, where like what if Butler and Bam decide like both at once to be like, all right, y'all forgot,
they're facing LeBron and AD, so they feel like they have to show out in this matchup or something like that.
And I'm not saying Tyler Hero's not going to get his because he's his. Clearly, he's going to just take his shots. But I just,
dude, he's playing all these minutes and taking all those shots, and he shot 50% or better in 4 of the last.
I know. The answer is probably Tyler Hero, but they're also just.
I mean, no, the answer is I'm going to play them both probably in like a fair and balanced lineup build.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, both of those guys are on one right now. We've talked to DeJounte enough. Same sort of deal here. 70% from the floor, 66% from the floor, giving you rebounds, steals, blocks, and assists with the points. Really great 8K, high 7K tier there, for that position. We dumped down. Jordan Poole's price tag's coming down. We obviously knew that was going to come as his shooting falls off and Washington in general loses a lot of games. $7,400 for Jordan Poole. Probably a good GPP play because we know he can crush that price point. But I don't know if I find myself getting to him too much there. FVV,
yes,
coming off of a 53 fantasy point game, 45 before that, back-to-back double-doubles going up in Sacramento. How are you feeling about the next grouping of players here?
Love Fred VanVleet. 3 of the last 4, he's had 20-point double-doubles, and this was kind of the guy that they had hoped they'd sign. And in 3 of those games, their offense has looked really good. Their defense looked really good against Sacramento. They're running a rate back against Sacramento, who looks lost without De'Aaron Fox, already ruled out for this game. So I love VanVleet. Jordan Poole for tournaments, sure. Not going to get through Russell Westbrook at 72 with this new implementation. Cam Thomas got us peripheral stats and once again, scored a whole bunch of points.
Yeah.
I still don't love the price tag, but if you want to get there, by all means. Now there's a different scenario here. Like Ben Simmons is returning to the lineup. I guess he didn't play in the Milwaukee game, right?
He didn't play in the Boston.
Boston. That's what I meant. Yeah. Boston. Sorry. So
no Derek White in that Boston game either. So
Yeah. Did you see Derek White has missed 2 games since joining the Celtics, and both games were missed because one was for the first birth of his kid and the second birth of his kid.
Yeah.
I mean, both Brooklyn guys are fine. And Drew Holiday, same thing, 48 fantasy points with no Derek White. And in a competitive game, we're going to see these Boston guys, a couple of them break out. Usually. I can see this being a competitive game versus Minnesota.
I was going to say, this is going to be an interesting matchup because, Miami played them tight and the Knicks played them tight. They blew out the bad teams, obviously, in Indiana and Washington. They let Brooklyn hang around probably longer than they should, but eventually ended up beating them by 10. But Towns, Gobert, Edwards, Conley, right? There's a good team here. So I'm curious to see how Boston on the road handles themselves here. But they're going to be competitive, and somebody's going to have themselves a good game that's not Jason Tatum. So if you figure out which one, you'll probably get them a decent ownership.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell me Drew Holiday's the guy at 7K playing 40 minutes, then sign me up for Drew Holiday at that price.
Agreed. Do we keep plugging D'Angelo Russell? I know a little tough shooting night here, but he's been pretty good before that. $6,600.
Yeah, it's a good price, good matchup. I'm perfectly fine getting D'Lo, multi-position eligible as well.
Value range here, 6K and under. What names are popping off the page to you? Again, we're getting down to some of these guys who have been ruled out. So there's players that are going to be playing in their place. How are you prioritizing a Reggie Jackson here?
I like Reggie Jackson. I mean, I think he's going to play a pretty sizable role off the bench. We saw the 25 minutes in a game Murray started and didn't finish. So obviously Jackson started the second half. We know he's a decent scorer. The only problem is there's no discount right off the bat, which I like. Yeah. I don't like it to be just handed to us 4,500 for Reggie Jackson and be okay, well, he's going to be 50% owned because it's just plug there and then move on.
Especially in the NBA on big slates, when there's value, that value is just 70%, right?
I agree. Yep. And we talked about it a lot last week, right? We were there's just not a lot of value. And then something popped up. Cason Wallace, you mentioned, I know he wasn't great last slate at 54. But the 36 minutes is great. The shooting was great. We just need a few more peripheral stats, which I guess is pretty hard to come by for this team. Dude, this game environment is so elite, though. 236.5 total. SGA is out. Atlanta just runs and runs and runs. And when you think they're done running, they're just going to run more, fourth in pace. Oklahoma City's sixth in pace this year. Atlanta's also bottom half of the league in defense. So, like, I'm okay getting to Case and Wallace 52, not like my favorite price.
What do you do with the Orlando guards here? Say Fultz is out. Do you favor Anthony, Suggs, Black? How do you go about it?
Dude, I think it's an interesting conversation because I guess I didn't expect. I didn't know. I guess I didn't know what to expect. But Cole Anthony just wasn't on the floor enough. He was 20. He played 23 minutes after he broke the slate the day before, and I had that internal struggle with playing Cole Anthony because I knew he was going to be chalk. And we this happens to him all the time. If like he doesn't make shots or just like randomly just taken off the floor, and then you hear Jamal Mosley, head coach of the Magic, after like talk about how poised Black was playing point guard and how good he looked and how not afraid in the moment he was. He was your lottery pick. Like if that's what you're going to be talking about, like your head coach is going to be talking about, like you have a young team taking Franz 2 years ago, taking Banchero last year. Like why not have Black starts $4,300? I'd be hard pressed not to go there. Obviously, you could play Cole Anthony in tournaments. I kind of had like this thing where I wanted to play Jalen Suggs over Cole Anthony last slate.
Is Suggs like your cash game play here if Markelle Fultz is out?
Probably. I mean, look at the last 5 games. The floor has been super steady. I would say I feel better about Black in cash games. Maybe just because there's a pretty big savings, like $800 savings going to Anthony Black.
That's why I feel like he may help in tournaments because it helps you get Jokic.
Sure.
Because the 43.
You play. You could realistically like. They're both pretty safe, Suggs and Black. Like if there's no Fultz, Suggs and Black are both safe. Anthony is just that one dude where it's like, well, if he comes out and he hits a bunch of shots, again, I've said it like 5 times this year, hits a bunch of shots, he could be good. Yeah. If he doesn't, he's not going to stay on the floor. So the guard situation is tough. And if Fultz plays, that's obviously monkey wrench and all of it because you're not playing Anthony Black in that case.
Yeah.
You're probably very less bullish on Anthony at 5,600, right? And so we'll see what happens.
So
but
I don't know if you saw the news earlier today. Jaden Ivey was out with an illness. Alec Burks got ruled out again. Marcus Sasser played 30 minutes in this game, 35 fantasy points, 3 straight games now of 30-plus fantasy points for Sasser. Now it's a back-to-back. It's at home at least against Golden State. Who's going to be on a back-to-back as well. $4,400 Sasser. Say Burks and Ivy are out again. Would you rather Sasser or Black?
That's a good question. Probably Black, but I can completely understand the Sasser front because, like, even if this game were to blow out, which I'm not saying it will, Detroit's at home. It's only 6.5 on sportsbooks, 6 in some places. Sasser's going to play blowout run. It's not like they're going to take this guy off the floor. He's a rookie who's learning how to play in the NBA. So I feel like I would probably say Anthony Black, but I'd have interest in Sasser too. I might just honestly play both.
Again, Black having shooting guard eligibility obviously gives you a little bit more flexibility if you wanted to save some money. But Sasser's there. You've been telling everybody, well, everybody's playing Jordan Hawkins to go play Dyson Daniels. Now Hawkins has been getting more minutes. But Daniels has been a bit more consistent here.
He had been getting more minutes. And I know I shouldn't say had. I think the Detroit game, if I'm not mistaken, Daniels played. Oh no, I guess Hawkins has been playing a few more minutes.
Yeah. Daniels has just been a bit more efficient, but the volume hasn't been great.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. The volume is going to be on the Hawkins front. The peripheral stats are definitely on the Daniels side of things. Dyson Daniels has had a really good start to the year. 3+ rebounds in every game, 4 in all but 1. Back-to-back assists, 5+. Yeah, I'm okay getting to Daniels. We'll see. Like if he were to start, sky's the limit for him. I still think you're right. They probably do start Hawkins, but also this is the first time they've been without McCollum specifically.
Right.
Like they've had a point guard on the floor, and I don't know if they view Daniels more as a point guard or Hawkins more as a point guard, but because they also don't
Well,
have
they
Jose
played Ingram
Alvarado
at point
and
guard before too, so like
they could just run the big
run the big
lineup, and
lineup.
I mean
Kirby,
Kyra Lewis is there too. Like that would be
another former first
that
round pick that they just have hanging
another
around.
former I mean he's like the more traditional point guard they have that they could start. So like there's a lot they could do. I do like Dyson Daniels in tournaments though.
Yep, I'm with you there. Let's move on over to shooting guard. We talked some of these guys already. Curry at the top of that back-to-back. Paul George, we're kind of not playing any of the Knicks. We want to see how that situation plays itself out. Would you play Anthony Edwards at 89 against Boston?
Dude, he's had some big games. And I think the thing is we're like the price has kind of
definitely
settled into a place that I'm pretty comfortable with. Obviously the Denver game blows out. He had a decent game. Towns had a big game in that one, and we don't get to see the ceiling, but he's had like some big 14 rebound game. He's had 7 assists in 2 games, 6 or more in 3 of the 5. Like
Tyler Hero
really
had a big game
together
against Boston. Quickly had a big game against Boston. Cam Thomas just had a big game against Boston. So while we do tout them defensively because they are really good defensively, there is still players that find success here. So to me, it feels like Edwards would probably be that guy. I don't know who defends him though. I mean, he might be too quick for
Derek White.
For White, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be White or Holiday, obviously. I don't think they put Jaylen Brown on Anthony Edwards here, but
they might.
They could.
I mean, they might just throw all of them.
Yeah, I mean, just rotate him, pass him off.
Yeah.
Just pass him off.
Yeah.
Could be. Anyway, so he's $8,900. Cade's at 85 now. Cade coming off of some pretty consistent performances here. Are we trusting it?
I mean, we could definitely trust that he's going to turn the ball over 6+ times. So if you need a bet,
I wonder what the turnover prop is going to be.
I was going to say if you need a bet,
if it's at 4.5, you have to hammer that, right?
It's a lock. Yeah. Also, I wonder if there was a bet like preseason who would lead the league in turnovers. Like Cade is obviously gonna, if he plays a full season, he's gonna lead the league in turnovers.
You play Ingram at 8K or Cade at 85?
I will Ingram. I mean, no McCollum feels really good for Ingram. I know he hasn't necessarily got there, but he played the first 2 games, almost goes for 40 with a full team, and then that Atlanta game, they were winning at half, and then Trae Young and DeJounte and Ngakoue just had monster second halves and they just got torched, and he played 32 minutes. So I would rather play Ingram. I think there is a ceiling without McCollum. Cade, I think Cade for me, John, rest of year, blanket statement, 1% tournament play that could go for 55, and it wouldn't surprise me.
If you had to go Hero or Ingram? Again, you can't play them both because Ingram has small forward eligibility here and whatever, but just kind of breaking down Parson plays here, right?
I'll say
because I'm going to be doing the playbook, and I'm going to have to try to figure this out for myself. I want to get your input,
in Denver,
home against the Lakers or in Denver for Ingram here.
Yeah, LeBron returning to Miami.
Yeah.
Not like obviously the first time he's obviously been to Miami since then. But I will say Hero, but I do like Ingram's eligibility a little better, obviously. And I do like that McCollum's out. He's gonna command the ball so much. I'll shoot. I know the ownership's gonna say Ingram.
I would say the ownership's probably gonna go to Ingram because just the perception of no McCollum. Yeah. And like people might just forget that Tyler Hero has been an absolute monster, right?
I agree. I would say I lean Hero. If we've also seen Ingram like these last couple slates, like when you look at the ownership first run, he's like the most popular play of the slate, and that was like with people active. So I'll go Hero. Really close. Not to say Ingram's not a good play because I like Brandon Ingram, but I'll go Tyler Hero ever so slightly.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning for tournament pivots here. We know Utah, one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. Zach LaVine still chilling here at $7,600. Could be.
He looks checked out.
Could be. I mean, well, he wants to be traded so badly. So
he does. He does.
But the minutes are there. He did take 21 shot attempts here. And again, we've talked about how bad Utah is defensively. Chicago's at home. I do like that price point for LaVine in tournaments here. Moving on the way down, who's been getting that bump with Vassell out of the lineup? Is it Branham?
So Branham played really, really well on because this is a back-to-back for the Spurs. Trey Jones had another good game. So maybe someone we didn't mention at point guard, but Trey Jones played another 30 minutes, Sean, on Sunday. So 2 games without Vassell, 28 and 32 minutes for Trey Jones. And then the Branham thing, as you mentioned, he started and played 25 minutes. So he's going to start, and Trey Jones is probably going to end up playing more than him. The only thing is, like, with Branham, and I fully expect
that's why I bring him up here.
I agree. I agree the price is great, and the matchup is great. Indiana's a bad defensive team. But you're looking at a guy who went 8 for 9 from the floor and still got only 25 minutes. Like, Pop still looked at that guy and was like, I can't play you more than 25, even though you're a bucket right now, and even though you are not missing. That's my only hesitation with Malachi Branham.
Yeah, Wemby is also such an X factor for when we have to think about San Antonio from last year to this year. It's crazy. It's different. He's just different.
He picked on OG. I don't know if you saw any of the clips. He picked on OG Anunoby all Sunday long. It was poor OG, poor guy. Wemby seems to pick on somebody every game.
Well, we saw the highlights of him. Eric Gordon doing his hardest, man. Just getting
Eric Gordon
switched on. He's like, I'm too old for this.
Eric Gordon's like, I've had too many knee problems for this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Stand up my arms up.
Yeah.
and pray. Kelly Oubre, man.
Yeah, he's been good.
Really good. Again, we talk about this. Like, DraftKings was like really quick to bump up a lot of guys, and then they're snails pacing us here with Oubre, 57, 56, 58, now just 6K. A little revenge game-ish from his Washington days at home. And again, another guy where should be locked into 30, 35 minutes here. I'm actually surprised he only played 30 in this game against Toronto. Got 35 against Phoenix here. He is really only scoring, so you need him to continue to score to pay it off. But he's been pretty good. I like the upside that he can bring in this matchup here. Clarkson, kind of the same deal, volume scorer for him. What do we think of Dallas? Does anybody sit or rest on the back-to-back here for them?
Definitely a chance. I think Dallas prime candidate.
Kyrie for sure. Just like, I'm not playing in Orlando. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, Kyrie might not even.
I'll meet you in Miami. Kyrie.
Might not even travel with the team. He came into these last 2 games injured, right? He played in the Denver game injured, looked good, and then played on Sunday. He looked fine. But he's been injured. So, this feels like a pretty prime Dallas spot to sit. That would obviously alter a lot of our thought process, because then we'd really be thinking, okay, Luka or Jokic, which throws a lot of things off, especially if you're looking to play mid-tier options. The Oubre thing is fine. It is tough to play a guy who, if he's not scoring 25 at 6K, we can't trust get any assists.
He's more better peripherally, but again, different team makeup. They got Melton to do the defense. They got Embiid to rebound. They got Maxey to dish. But
Embiid and Maxey are kind of just doing everything too. Embiid's passing, Maxey's rebounding. So I'm okay getting to Oubre. Clarkson, obviously, the volume is there. It's kind of similar to Oubre.
THT just stuck with shooting guard eligibility.
Dude, he's been.
If not for this blowout, he was 14, 4, and 5 in 24 minutes.
And 20 shots for THT.
I know.
Dude, he's been kind of good. He's been kind of good.
And Chicago, they obviously have the talent, but do you think they profile as a team that has it together right now to blow out Utah?
No.
I don't think so either. So
blow out anybody. They're not blowing out the freaking Portland Trailblazers, dude. They're 23rd in defensive rating. They're 2-5. They can't score. They can't. they're very close to just blow, and they should. Like the Lonzo injury ruined this whole thing
Agreed.
because they were a top 4 team in the East before that Lonzo
It's
injury.
also crazy that like guys just can't get over themselves to play basketball, right? Like Zach LaVine being a malcontent to me. Why? Just play the basketball game. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play and try to win, but nope, needs to be his own guy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because like you look at someone like if you just take like DeRozan and Vucevic, like they are such classy. I'm not saying LaVine's not classy because he's been very good for the organization, but like they're just like I want to play ball. Like that's all I want to do. I want to win and I want to play basketball. And then it just doesn't trickle down to
at least the reports out. It doesn't seem to trickle down.
Right.
What's the trickle down effect of no De'Aaron Fox?
They stink. They stink.
I mean, I know they just played Houston. They got blown out in that game. Malik Monk had 35. He's had 31, 26, and 35 in the 3. It's been $5,700 for the last 2 slates as well.
I know.
So he's been paying off the price point. Do you trust Malik Monk here?
I mean, the last game was the ultimate test of how far Malik Monk could be extended. Kevin Huerter had 2 fouls immediately in that game, and Malik Monk still only played 26 minutes. Kevin Huerter played 14 minutes in that game. Malik Monk only played 26. I'm not saying only because that's a good sizable minute, but 26. $5,700, dude. He's like, it's just hard to get to. So I would rather just play THT for $200 more because at least I know in a competitive game, THT last 2 competitive games they've had, he's played 30 minutes.
Yep.
So like I would rather just save 200, go to THT. I've said it to you a couple times. How about Dylan freaking Brooks, who I understand he has a very bad reputation, but like, and I understand that not everyone that gets paid is deserving of the money, but $80 million is not like chump change. And like they obviously saw something in Dylan Brooks, and he's obviously kind of shooting out of his mind right now.
I don't think, yeah.
Dude, he's shooting 60% on the year.
Yeah. Like the volume of scoring for him the last 2 games has been a little bit.
Sure.
I don't think what we would have expected. Not to say it can't continue, but I don't profile him as a 20+ point per game player.
No, but he can score. Yeah. They do have a lot of scoring, so you don't think of Dylan Brooks as like the top guy, but he has a lot of people setting him up. Like he has Şengün setting him up from the post, and he has Van Vliet setting him up from everywhere. So like $5,200 still feels like a really good price for Dylan Brooks with really good eligibility. Sure. So just gonna throw that out there and duck and cover for all the people that hate Dylan Brooks and hate using him, but he's been really good.
That's fine. Christian Braun, Jordan Hawkins, 2 guys who talked up a little bit here, could see some additional run, depending on how those lineups play out. Any other value at shooting guard for you?
I mean, you mentioned the Branham thing, 4,100. You're probably going to see Cam Reddish start again, 41, but he literally just jogged up and down the floor for 25 minutes last game.
Cam Reddish got hot. Cam Reddish stayed on the floor. Not Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes got hot. Grimes stayed on the floor.
It's so annoying because, like, I said it to you, and I feel like my brain has been really firing, like, with these type of situations lately. And I put out a couple tired and wired tweets, like, the tired play Dante DiVincenzo and move on. But wired is, what if Quentin Grimes makes all the shots, right? Dante DiVincenzo sucked, and then Quentin Grimes didn't. And Quentin Grimes stays on the floor and probably that night won somebody some money because he had 27 fantasy points at sub 4K price tag. So same scenario. I will mention RJ Barrett practice on Sunday, so that's a good obviously trend for him to return. So any of that like DiVincenzo Grimes talk probably dead.
All right, let's move on over to small forward here. We'll pick up the pace a little bit for people. Tatum 10-3, LeBron James $9,600. Won't argue playing either of those two. They're obviously elite. LeBron continues to dominate. Plus, as you mentioned, return to Miami, maybe a little more motivation for him there as well. Speaking of revenge games, Lauri Markkanen, $8,700 going into Chicago. Hasn't really paid off the price tag in the last couple of slates here. Volume's been great, but again, not the volume of scoring we got to pay off almost 9K. So if you believe in the revenge, sure, you can certainly run that one out there. Some of these guys we've already discussed in the mid-tier. You do have Jimmy Butler at $8,300, which feels like a pretty good price tag generally for Butler. I know he hasn't, again, given you a Butler-esque game quite yet, but does have the Laker matchup here. Keldon at 73, DeRozan 72, Franz at 71. Any of these 7 guys jumping off to you?
Yeah, no thanks on Butler until he's sub 8K at this rate. I really like the Keldon price. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep playing him. He's been really productive, and he's been really good peripherally, something he hasn't been in the past. Love the DeRozan price as well, 72. You just got to guess when the right DeRozan game's coming. There hasn't been many this year, but he does have a 52 fantasy point game. Franz, just workmanlike every game. Has been 30-plus fantasy points in every game but one, and he finished at 29 in that one game.
It's a good matchup for him, too, against Dallas. Not just the back-to-back here, but, like, you think about their rotation and who they have kind of in their front court now. Like, before, it's kind of some grinders, right? Like, they throw Maxi Kleber out there at you. They were throwing Dorian Finney-Smith out there at you. They're throwing you a lot of guys that could kind of, like, play defense, cause some troubles here. I don't really have that anymore. Grant Williams, they'll give you Derrick Jones Jr. or Josh Green or something like that. I'm not too worried about Franz in this spot against Dallas here, given the new kind of build of Dallas.
Yeah, bottom 10 defense in the NBA so far this year.
Yeah, they used to play slow and like limit team scoring, and that they're probably still playing slow. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
middle of the pack.
So again, I think this is a good spot for Franz here, especially if Fultz is out again. Good scoring out of him. Oscar Thompson, 66, coming off of a 47 fantasy point game.
He's so insane. If he stays out of foul trouble, he's shown
8 total blocks and steals in this game. I mean,
if he stays out of foul trouble and stays on the floor, he's insane. And apparently, we finally got the minute ceiling, right? 38 minutes, and look what he can do.
It is worth noting Jalen Durant got ejected from this game, so he got a double flagrant there and got ejected out of the game. So, but still, it's someone we've been watching out on. Michael Porter Jr. He's teasing us with it again here, James. Back-to-back games, 24 and 27 actual. Shout out to Sean. Had the Dallas call correct. I thought he was trolling us. He wasn't. He played him. Shot the lights out. I then chased the points the next night in Chicago, and thankfully he continued and actually scored more than he did against Dallas here. Pelicans, though, do you think he gets the Herb Jones defense, or what do we think happens here to Denver?
Dude, he's getting the Herb treatment, right? Yeah, he's getting the Herb treatment for sure.
Not going to waste that on Aaron Gordon, so
No, I mean he's getting Herb, but he's also going to get passes from Jokic, and if he hits 4 threes again, he's probably well on his way. No Jamal Murray, he's the second option. This does feel like a letdown, though, right? I mean, all the makings of a letdown.
Price 40-plus fantasy point games. They didn't touch his price tag. He's at home, like a lot.
No Murray.
No Murray. Yeah. And then Herb Jones is going to be like, no shot. I mean, you're this whole game. So
yeah.
Speaking of Herb Jones, he's $5,700. He too coming off of a pretty good game against Detroit. Hit all of his shots. Took 13 shots against Atlanta. It was nice to see. Didn't give you the rebounds there though, but still 6 steals in the last 2 games. Blocking every single game here.
Herb. First team all defense this year for Herb, by the way.
He's good.
Probably not. I mean, but again, no McCollum. Like, there's more shots.
Is he already in the starting lineup? Yeah, right. He is.
Yes, he starts.
Yeah, he starts for them. Bruce Brown, 56. Dort. I don't know where this.
Remember I messaged you. He had 3 first quarter fouls. Yeah. 3.
No rebounds. Sorry, no assists, no blocks, no steals. 29 actual, 5 rebounds. I don't see that happening again. Not gonna bet on it. I will say this though: when RJ Barrett got ruled out, I told you I was agonizing about not getting Josh Hart in my lineups, and I made the necessary pivots to sort of make that happen. Double positive was that it went from giving me Tyler Hero as well on the night that he smashed, and I was able to get Josh Hart in my lineup. Now again, if Barrett's in, Obviously, that changes the story. But he is 5,300 now. He gets the Clippers, so not as good of a matchup, but just more so happy that Josh Hart came through when we needed him to. Any other small forwards for you? DeAndre Hunter is playing pretty well. Grant Williams is playing pretty well.
Yeah, Sadiq, 4,500. He made a bunch of shots. Isaiah Joe, 4,500. We kind of know the story with Isaiah Joe. He had 16 points and one other peripheral stat. So if there were to be like peripheral stats, obviously Isaiah Joe could pay it off, but 4,500, the price is going up. It is a very elite game environment. So if you want to get to Isaiah Joe, that's fine. You could play slow-mo while they continue to build Jaden McDaniels minutes up. Slow-mo now played 25 minutes in 3 straight games. He had coming off 30 fantasy points, 4,500. I don't hate the spot because, I know it's a Boston matchup, but like, you're not worrying about slow-mo getting shots off here. You're worrying about slow-mo just stuffing the stat
right.
sheet. So
agreed. Could run the offense through a little bit. Chetty, always a guy we look at 42 for some value here. Let's see. Any other of our usual suspects down here? Doesn't look like it.
Maybe some Korkmaz, John. So it's 22 and 18 minutes his last 2 games.
There you go.
No, I'm not playing Korkmaz. There's nothing else.
Power forward. Giannis is 10-6 against Brooklyn here. Tatum, LeBron, we've discussed. Zion versus Denver is probably a no-go for me. Wemby on a back-to-back against Indy is interesting because we don't know what Pop's going to do. We have absolutely no idea.
We're getting popped. Regardless, we're going to make the wrong decision regardless. We're just know you're getting popped.
I feel like I'm not going to play him, not because I don't think he is going to like destroy this. Like, even if he got popped in this matchup, he could still do damage in 26 minutes.
I was like looking at the first Phoenix game and thinking something like that.
Right?
Where he plays 28 minutes because Pop just is like back to back. I don't want to harm this kid or this team in general. And we get like
I feel like there were some comments earlier too where they said like Wemby could see some restrictions early on in the year. Now, maybe we did see those.
Those are off.
Maybe we did see those 23, 26, 28. Now it's over, but
yeah,
I don't know. He's such an exciting player. He does just some ridiculous things. It's hard to want to like not play him, but we'll see. Boncaro 77, Chet Holmgren 77, Kuzma 76. I know guys we've all been playing lately. How do you feel?
This is the what's the meme? Jack Nicholson meme?
Yeah.
Yes, that tier right there. That's how I feel. Look, Paolo's been great since he started going to the basket more. I mean, 22 free throw attempts the last 2 games. He almost had a triple-double last game. I told you Chet was the pivot off J. Not that J-Dubs was bad, but like he was so low owned. It was such good leverage in tournaments. And he smashed, and I pivoted off him, and I'm super sad about it, but I won't be making that mistake again. And Kuzma is fine for tournaments. It just if that game can stay competitive, he plays 30 minutes. Yep. So I just don't know.
No lack of shot attempts here. Did you see against Atlanta, Jordan Poole did a off the backboard pass to Kuzma on a breakaway when they were down like 25?
Yeah, and they never played it. That's when the starters never played again. Yeah. They got taken out and never played again. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I was just like, I saw that highlight get tweeted out. It's like Jordan Poole did an alley-oop off the backboard on a breakaway, and again, they're down 30.
Yeah.
That's Washington this season. So,
that's Jordan Poole. That's Jordan Poole this season.
Fun to watch. Jalen Williams is $6,700. So if you think he stays on the floor and can produce, gets Atlanta here, he's gonna be getting thrown at with DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, Sadiq Bey, like that crew defensively.
This game is a yes. All in on this game.
Yeah.
All in on this game.
Yeah. What's the game total on this one? You said
238.5.
That feels good. That feels
pretty good.
Decent. John Collins.
236.5. Sorry, 236.
John Collins in a tough spot against Minnesota, kind of held his own there. 14-6. Did have 5 fouls, but I don't see Chicago causing him too much of a problem. So $6,100, willing to kind of run that spot back with him.
Yes, he's going up against Torrey Craig. He'll be going up individually.
What happened to Patrick Williams? I thought he was like the next coming. Just nothing. Nothing.
I mean, we drafted a guy who couldn't play offense 4th overall. I mean, that should have alerted
Didn't draft
the
Scotty
bells.
Barnes, is what you're saying, right? Because
did not draft that guy. No.
Scotty Barnes has been an absolute freak this year. Let's see. Harry B had a good game the other day. I don't know if we're gonna, or two games ago, maybe not. Maybe he got off to a hot start and he just kind of faded out on me. For whatever reason, I had a perception he played well. Jalen Johnson still playing a whole boatload of minutes. He's $5,600 back-to-back games with double-digit rebounds for him.
I mean, he's really good. He also benefited in the minutes in that game. Hunter got hurt, left the game, came back, and then they played. They keep doing this, like Atlanta's just like closing with Johnson and Gankwu pretty much every game, and it's just like they can't be stopped. So I would gladly play Jalen Johnson tournaments. Also, I'm not gonna. We'll just go right back to Jabari Smith, 5,800.
Yeah, you killed that call the other day.
He's been really good, dude. He's been really.
Wish I followed you on that one. I played Keegan Murray instead. Scored 7 actual points.
Yeah, he looks bad without De'Aaron.
And Jabari was for sure the play. So good call on you there. Where else are we going at power forward here? Any value? Are we chasing? Mo Wagner played 18 minutes. We always know the upside he brings to the table.
Yeah, he probably plays more if Goga doesn't have a ceiling performance.
Right, Goga got the foul trouble we thought he was going to get into against LG.
It was actually Anthony Davis getting in foul trouble. Okay. John, jokes on us. I don't think there's anything else down here.
Senator, then we'll finish this out and build a lineup. Joker's 11-6. I mean,
no Murray
and a price dump, right? So
and a price dump coming off games in which he did level and yet went for 69 and 68.
And he's not even on a back-to-back. He's home for the 3rd straight game, not on a back-to-back, no Jamal Murray.
Look at the home numbers this year.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Look at the, oh my, like, you talk about a guy who just loves Denver and Serbia. Denver, Serbia, and horses. Yeah. Look no further than the guy shooting 67% and 68 fantasy points per game at home. He's the top player of the slate.
I would agree with you. I would 100% agree with you. You have Giannis, Sabonis, AD, not going to knock any of those. I mean, even in AD, when he got into a little bit of trouble, still came through with 62 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's been a freak.
7 blocks. I mean, just absolutely wild there. Şengün, same spot he was just in, 34 minutes, gave you 38 fantasy points. Hit the assist total on this game because I didn't bet it. I bet it when he missed it. Turner, kind of a letdown, gets San Antonio. Durant coming off of the ejection game. I don't know. Where are we going in the mid-tier? Or are we going in the mid-tier at the center position?
Şengün's fine. I love the minutes out of Şengün. Love the production. That's fine. Chet, we mentioned, definitely could get there. Porzingis in tournaments. Vooch in tournaments. Pretty good matchup against Walker Kessler and company. Miles Turner, we've seen nuke the slate and nuke everyone's lineups. Like it's one or the other, seemingly.
4 fouls early in that game. 3 early fouls in that game. He didn't really play much of the first half. In what should have been a smash spot. So that's such a typical Miles Turner performance there.
But he has 3 games over 40 fantasy points and 3 under 30. So he has nothing like decent. It's just such a tournament, all or nothing bust. Jalen Duren has not been great over the last few games. Did double-double on Sunday. That's a positive step in the right direction.
You've been touting a lot of Zach Collins lately. We kind of get blinded because of Wemby, but Zach Collins is out here just doing the thing.
Dude, he was great in the preseason. I think that's why they decided to go with the lineup they went with. They wanted to go with this big, unorthodox lineup where Collins can stretch the floor next to Wemby and like give Wemby all the space he could have, like going towards the rim. Collins has also just been great. Zach Collins has 4+ assists in almost every game this year. He also has 5 rebounds in every game this year, and he's scoring double figures almost every game. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting to Zach Collins. Again, just back to back. That's the only thing. It's 38 minutes for a guy who's had a long history of injuries. You know, it's
agreed.
It's tough to get to. You know who's been really good, John? Draymond.
Probably.
No, Draymond had 48 fantasy points on they don't have it listed, but he had a monster game and he played 30 minutes on Sunday as well. So Just a
weird how like they have some Sunday stats, but they don't have the Warriors Sunday stats.
Yeah.
I say lively because he had the double here on Sunday as well. Where's our guy? Where is he? There he is. $4,700.
Yeah, finally didn't play more minutes, but he closed the game and he still smashed. I mean, that's the only problem. The Capella minutes were like the Ngakwe minutes trended in the right direction for 3 games. Then Capella came out 8 for 9, didn't miss, got all the rebounds, and 28-20 was the split. But like,
this feels like a spot where it should be Ngakwe because Chet Holmgren will be chilling at the 3 line. So
Yep, because of Chet. I agree. The only thing we'll have to worry about with Ngakwe is the thing that we worried about the first 3 games. We had 5, 4, and 4 fouls. Yeah.
Agreed. Anybody else at center?
Naz Reid in tournaments. I keep telling you this, but he keeps like being super productive. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the benefit of if Towns is in foul trouble, Naz Reid plays. If Gobert is in foul trouble, Naz Reid plays. So like the obvious chance that happens with Porzingis and Jason Tatum at the 4 and the 5.
Sure. Other guy I'll throw out there is Hartenstein. A little revenge game in play here as well. Just a dart throw.
He's your favorite. He's also your favorite player. So
listen, he has good days.
He does.
Here.
He does.
And then he has some not so great days every other game. But he's $3,600 and Mitch Rob is Mitch Rob. So
Mitch Rob is definitely Mitch Rob. That is a fact.
Did you see Mitch Rob's trainer sending some shade out to the Knicks?
No, but Mitch Rob's been asking for a trade for like months and months and months, and then takes it down off his like Instagram, and then be like, "Yo, sorry, I did that was."
His trainer said something about like big man's in the best shape of his life, but not even good enough to get lobs anymore, or something like that.
Dude, what is going on? The Knicks were literally they literally won a playoff series last year, and I'm just confused at what happened.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's build a lineup. We're gonna plug in Joker here. We love that 7K tier. So we're gonna have to find some value somewhere. It's probably gonna be with the guards for the Pelicans. We'll get some value there.
And we could play Malachi Branham if you wanted to.
Yeah,
he's 4,100.
Which 7K forward are we doing here?
Shoot, Chet probably because the game environment. That game environment is so good, dude.
Okay.
Chet's probably the answer for me.
Okay. Hawkins or Daniels if you had to pick one, or Black, I guess. We don't have Suggs' status though.
Vault status, but yeah, same thing. I would say we know more about Hawkins at this point, so I'll say Hawkins. I like Daniels more, but I think Hawkins with the volume is just more likely to smash.
Okay. Point guard position here. We got another spot where we had more guys like in this mid tier that we were kind of really big fans of.
Rjax.
Yeah, I said Rjax is what 50. So okay, Rjax
55.
Yeah, 5,100 small forward, guard forward, and utility. I feel like we did have another value play that we were kind of throwing out there.
Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, Bey was 45, right?
Yeah, Bey was 45. And then we have guard forward utility, 5,400. THT is a good one. I like THT.
Be a competitive game. Let's see a forward. Can we get another cheap forward in our lineups here? Do you want to like Punchetti? A lot of minutes.
I don't hate Chetty. The 26 minutes was really good. You could punt like Hand. You could punt like Jalen Smith, who's been really good on a per minute basis. Trying to like.
I mean, he's definitely been pretty good on a per minute basis. He's always been good though. I mean, we can do Ari here and gives us a $4,800 util. Is that?
Yeah,
I like Ngakwe. That might be.
I like that. Ngakwe's 47, right? And you can switch him and Joker. You can switch him.
I mean, if Goga starts, do you play Goga or do you play Ngakwe?
Yeah, we didn't actually mention. We didn't talk about Goga, but it would be the answer would probably be Goga.
Yeah,
considering how good he's been.
Yeah. So, well, we assume he's gonna, right? Because there's no.
Just switch him and Jokic.
All right, we'll do this. Reggie Jackson, Jordan Hawkins, Sadiq Bey, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Jokic, Cal Norton Tucker, Jabari Smith, Goga Bitadze.
Yeah, Bitadze.
Example lineup for everybody. Trust me, it's a big slate. You're not going to be able to get exposure to everybody if you're playing one lineup. We left out a lot of guys we definitely like here. Tyler Hero, that whole Tyler Hero, Brandon Ingram, Tyrese Maxey crew. So you're going to have to get a little bit creative if you want to fit in Nikola Jokic here, or you go fair and balanced. You can probably get a couple of those guys in your lineups here as well. I'll be on the playbook. Check us out 5 o'clock Eastern live for all the latest updates and news as we break down the slate for everybody. James, any final words for the people?
No, just another slate any slate that's massive like this, we just have to pay attention to news. We have to know who's on back-to-backs. We have to know, tendencies, rotations by now. Right now, we're settling into, we know rotations are being figured out. We know who's playing fast, who's playing slow, who the bad defensive units are in the league. And those are all things that we need to get used to together and dominate together. So if we have any questions about any of that stuff, obviously you can find us in Discord, Twitter, all that good stuff over at fantasyalarm.com. Johnny?
See y'all later.